Welcome back, Miss ABCSA students. It's Mrs. Anderson again. So I want to do a little bit more on jGrasp, just to poke around and show you some of the features and things you can do. So not so much the overview, but some of the specifics here of the window, just to make you a little more comfortable while you're still getting used to it. So I guess the first thing is, if you find yourself where you have the program open, you're going to find yourself writing new programs. Maybe you want to go File, New, make another program. I can't have spaces there. And you're going to save it. And I want you to keep in mind that this is the folder it's going to save it in. And it is always, it's always good coding practice to have the folder you're in be right here. And so I wanted to give you kind of a shortcut for doing that. So notice now I made this program. If I hit save, it's going to save it in this folder because that's what I have open. If I were in a different folder and I hit save, it's going to try to save it in that folder instead. So try to always navigate to the folder you want to be in before you hit save. If you get to where you're working on multiple programs and maybe do I have, oh, look at that. Oh, I got some, oh, that is not Java. Not taxes, not Arduino. Bear with me, I'm trying to find maybe JUnit? JUnit sample, that sounds good. Look at that, look at all these programs I have. So let's say I had a bunch of different programs open here, which you will get throughout the year. So a couple of nice tips are, first off, the program that you click on, so now I'm clicking through these windows, notice it gets underlined. And notice that it gets underlined here. And so what I want to show you is that sometimes I'm going to go here and I'm going to purposely save this song Java program into another folder. So here it is. And then I'm going to go back into this one. Is this where I was? Yeah. So you can see here there's a song here. And here's program, or let me see, this is song test. So song test is open, it's underlined. Song test over here is underlined. So it's showing me that this folder is matching this file. And so here I see song here, and I'm like, oh, it must be this song, right? Well, notice this song is underlined, this one is not. So this is a real thing, and a problem that some students have is keeping track of versions, or if they're moving their code around to different places, they'll think they're in the program, but they're not. So right now I have two song programs. One is in the JUnit sample folder, and one I copied over here. So notice this one is underlined. This is the one I'm in. But I'm going to show you a trick as well. So remember I was in this one. This is not the same song. If you're in a program and you're like, wait, so it's not this one? Well, where is it? Two ways you can find out. One, you can look up here and you can see that this folder is not the same. But a quicker way is to hit this B button right here. Change browser to this files directory. So it will take you to it. So I've gone all over here to all these overwears. If I go back to that first program I was in and I hit that B button, it takes me to that folder where that program is. So that's a really nice one to know. So I'm assuming you know save, compile and run. Sometimes if you compile it, it will also save before it compiles. We'll learn some others later. We learned the line number 1. All right, so another one is, because formatting is important, the further we go along, the more code we get in programs, the easier it is if you keep that formatting. Let me see this one. Look, so that's not a long program. Maybe this one is. Oh, that's longer. So this is a lot of code in it. And so it may not help you now, but it helps me, and it does help most programmers to have things indented properly, and we'll learn about that throughout the year. But I wanted to show you that, and I'll just show you with this simple one, that all those indents that I was doing when we first wrote this, if I didn't do them, and I don't think, so here's the program. It still compiles. It still runs fine. Those indents were not required. But for readability, they do help. And so if you don't like doing the indents or they get wonky, once you have a clean compile, you can hit this button right here, Generate CSD, and it auto indents for you. I think there's a hotkey too you could find. I'm going to go to the current directory. I like having the current directory here. These blue things are kind of irritating. It kind of lines up. It's showing you that all your braces open and close, all your things open and close. You can take that blue off with this one. So these two. So this doesn't really toggle, but the button next to it will turn off the blue. So you can do that before you submit a program to me, hint, hint, so that you don't lose points on formatting. Another thing in this window is notice I compiled this program so many times, right? And let's say maybe I compile it here and I have some error messages and then I fix that. Oops. And then I fix that and I get a clean compile, and then I certainly wouldn't do this, but let's say I'm working later and I have some error messages and I fix them, right? So I'm compiling. So you'll notice this compile messages tab. It's got a lot of stuff in it now, and some of it, this was an old error, and then I had a clean compile. So it's got a lot, and it can be hard to keep track of errors. So you can always clear it and then recompile, and you'll just see recent stuff. And you're like, oh, I didn't have any error messages. I did fix them. You can do the same with the run IO. You'll see we have a couple runs. I can run this a bunch of times, and all those get saved until you clear them out. So sometimes clearing periodically can be helpful. This interactions pane will be helpful. I'll tell you about it a little bit more later. It's a nice one. But so compile and run are here. Couple more things to tell you. So this is like a Windows Explorer, File Explorer, right? File Manager. You can create new folders. You can go up a level. I can create a folder. Where'd it go? Here it is. I'm right clicking on it and I can delete it. So there's certain things I can do here. I don't think I can rename easily here, but I can go up a folder. I can go back down. So lots of things you can do. You can open them here this way. So this is helpful to have here, but you'll notice down here that there are actually multiple tabs you can be looking at. So occasionally students will hit one of these other tabs and they're like, where'd my files go? Where's my file structure? So just know that you just click this Browse tab and you will come back and see the Browse menu. So we'll be using the debug later. I don't know if I've ever, oh yeah, just a Control F will bring this up automatically. Workbook. So know how to find your browse window back in case you accidentally click down there. Another helpful one is I can have a lot of programs open here, and maybe I'll go back to this folder and open this one and this one and this one, and as you're working throughout the year you can get so many programs loaded here that you can't even read these anymore, right? And that's kind of ridiculous. So keeping these closed is helpful, but if you find yourself in this kind of a position, you might want to go to the current folder for the one you're interested in and then close. So under Window, you can say close all windows. It's very helpful. Close all windows and then just reopen, double click, reopen the program you want. So try to keep these manageable, otherwise it's not too helpful. I've also seen where students have made this disappear. So I'll show you, oh, look at that, I didn't mean to do that. Is it here? Where do they do? Oh, there it is. Auto hide. It's very irritating. So if you like the auto hide, you can turn it on, but now I can't see the tabs, and even if I open multiple programs, I can't get to them anymore. So somewhere in there, there's a right click to bring it up. And so just make sure the auto hide is turned off. That's a mistake. So those are good things. And you should try to make these mistakes. Go click over here, click these. Be comfortable with it and clicking back on browse and getting back to where you want to be. Open a window, or just hit window, close all windows now, and go back and practice opening them. The more you get comfortable clicking around and tinkering, as we call it, the more comfortable you'll be with the environment. And we can always fix anything you do, just about. Most things we can help you find workarounds for. So I think that's it. It's always a question. We have some other things we'll talk about later with the debugger and some other things. But I think that'll get you comfortable with working with jGrasp, and watch those file management. But as always, happy coding. See you next time.